Teacher Rabbi LM Zulu of Committee Hebrew Ethics, Marifado. Injan Longe, Makadime say, reality is reviewed in the present moment. Find out more and email us or join at marifado.com. Ubuntu is Mahat. Power of knowing. Applied wisdom. May you rise to the stars this life. Committee Hebrew Ethics welcomes you all. Thank you. Atenda Siabonga. Subscribe and share.
Here is a question billions will get wrong. Which is the largest continent on earth? Let us ask former president of South Africa and let us listen to his answer on YouTube.
This continent is the biggest continent in the world, not separated even by a river. The rivers that are there flow with the continent. They don't cut it into half or quarter. All continents put together will fit into Africa.
Before we verify whether Msholozi was lying, let us ask Google, which is the largest continent? When you go to Google and ask this question, what is the largest continent? We understand that there are a few different ways to answer what is the largest continent. The first is by area and another is by population. So what we are concerned with is by area. By area, they tell us that Asia is the largest continent with 44.4 million square kilometers. It is also the largest by population with over 4 billion people living in Asia. So it's quite clear when you take a look that Asia comes up tops. Take a serious look at this map. What is wrong with it? Now, there are 7 continents on Earth, we are told. Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, Oceania, Europe, North America, and South America, giving us a total of about 7. There is the map that shows everything. And the largest continent is taught all over in the world, from kindergarten to PhD, is Asia. Africa is number 2. But we find other issues here when we consider Asia. The question is Russia in Asia or in Europe? Let's think about that and consult and do some few more investigations, because it's clear that there is something not right here. The big question here is about Europe as well as Asia and Russia. Why can't we only have everything together there? Because looking at this map that is come up here now, we see that Eurasia, which combines Europe and Asia, should actually be one continent. And in that sense, it will make Eurasia the largest continent without any further debates. Let us remind each other, our task here is to discover which is the largest continent. For purposes of learning and education and also purpose of geography. Now, we are thoroughly confused when it comes to Russia. Again, Asia may incorporate other countries. And let's continue. Turkey, on the other hand, while its biggest city is in Europe, has its capital in Asia, Ankara. Perhaps let us define what is a continent. In this case, a continent, the word comes from the Latin and is defined as a continuous body of land contained within water. And so, does Europe qualify as a continent? Because you can see that this is all its borders, but when it comes to Turkey here, we got a lot of problems. And also, we have seen already Russia giving headaches there. What is considered to be the boundary between Europe and Asia? They tell us that is the Ural Mountains. The Ural Mountains, indicated here in Western Asia, Russia, form the boundary between Europe and Asia. This is a great lie. Let us remind each other that here a continent is thus defined from the Latin as a continuous body of land or contained within water. Boom! Because the Ural Mountains, they can't stand. Therefore, it is clear that Europe is not surrounded by a body of water. It is connected to Asia. We have seen Eurasia there. There is no body of water around it separating it other than a trick, which is a lie in the form of a human crafted imaginary line based on the Ural Mountains. So we can't accept that. We have to apply everything together. You see, I can walk from Africa right without crossing anybody, as Msholos has explained, into Europe, anywhere into Europe, also into Asia. Europe is not a continent. It does not qualify for this appellation. So who made it a continent? It's not nature, but humans. And according to this map we are showing here, these are artificial lines that were drawn. Of course, they then come with the Ural Mountains and all the reasons. That's wrong geography. That's not definition of a continent. More common sense now. Europe is not a continent. For Europe is in Asia. That's a fact. Now, what about Asia and Africa? What separates them? Let's find out. Now, to make Africa number 2, you remember they split it and created a place they call Middle East, which they then added to Asia. So this is the boundary they want to tell us, that therefore Africa is like number 2. But then when you look at Africa from this perspective, I can walk anywhere from Africa, crossing no water, right into Asia, right up there into Europe, maybe the little islands here, anywhere in Europe, all that. So all of this land mass right into Asia, Africa and Asia is one continent, including Europe. This is very, very interesting. Remember, there was no Middle East. They had to create this Middle East so that all their debates can come, all their things can come. And also Europe is part of Asia and Asia is part of Africa. So we have destroyed all the 3 continents, including we have made one continent out of all this, except that Australia is now Oceania, but it's in Asia, part of Asia. So Australia is part of Africa, and we have given in many of our videos its original African name, Sahel. Now, another lie. Who came up with the idea of the Suez Canal? Then they tell you that it's the Suez Canal is the border. It is a human crafted border. So the Suez Canal history given here on this slide tells us that Africans are on record as the first people to dig a canal across their length. Here, there is clear canal of Sesostris, who was an African king, our ancient ancestor, linking the 2 seas through the Nile branches. In 1887, before Common Era, the canal of the Pharaohs, Sesostris Senuseret III. In 1310 BCE, canal of Pharaohs, Seti I, Necho, and then King Darius, and also now there 285 comes the Europeans, Ptolemy, Trajan, and also the white Arabs. So the first canal was dug during the reign of the whole of Africa, that included Eurasia as well as many other islands. To open our eyes, we have to know the true size of Africa. Given here, these are the websites that we are given. There is a Kai Cruz who made an interface designer, created a map called The True Size of Africa, which shows how many countries the continent can contain, and it is mind-boggling. Africa is large. It's the biggest continent ever. All over the largest continent is Africa. Here is the actual comparison with China. You see that? It's too little. We can't compare and contest with these small islands. Think about this seriously. There is a man called Mercator who drew Africa as smaller to Greenland. And obviously Antarctica isn't bigger than Eurasia, and Africa is many times larger than any country or continent you can pick on earth, because Africa includes Asia and Asia incorporates Europe. So Eurasia, the whole of that, the three, Europe, Asia and Africa, they are all Africa. They are all in the continent of Africa. And then we include and incorporate many other small islands. The question again, what is the largest continent? It's Africa. Why then does the world lie openly? It's because of colonization, mineral wealth, control, and also to rule us easily. For a detailed study, check out at this site that is given here, the true size of Africa. This is a wrong map of Africa. Never ever use this. Anyone you see using such a map, just remember they are ignorant. They don't know nothing. They are absolutely dumb. So there is one continent. The largest continent on the earth is Africa. Largest country owned by the original humans. But what must we do? We must just reclaim this and teach this truth. Join us on join@marfado.com, our email. Visit our website. And let us remember that Africa includes Europe and Asia and all the associated islands as one continent. It is for the black people. It is ours. It is all the others who are in it are not indigenous to it. We are the owners of that of this whole continent. Hamiti Buru Ethics, Maarifa Development Organization, helps people of Bantu heritage reclaim their spiritual identity. So we have to reclaim the whole and the largest continent. Till we meet again, thank you, Tatenda Siabonga.
Teacher Rabbi LM Bizulu of Hamiti Hebrew Ethics, Maarifa.